that we want to recognize is Haven, and they are just really great. They help us every year with this workshop, and we're really appreciative for Haven as well. Next, I would like to invite to the microphone Sam Cridlin. She is with Mutual Savings Bank. She's going to tell you about our bank and introduce Melanie. Good afternoon, everyone. As Jennifer said, I'm Sam Cridlin, and I am the Human Resources Manager at Mutual Savings Bank, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. At Mutual Savings Bank, we know women are often the planners, protectors, and financial leaders in their families. That's why for 135 years, we've built our bank around responsive service and real relationships, helping our customers reach their goals with confidence. From everyday banking, lending, or to our trust department, we are proud to support strong women and a strong community. Welcome, Mutual Savings Bank. Let's bank together. It's my honor to introduce our next speaker, Melanie Ake. Melanie is a dynamic and visionary leader who truly embodies what this conference is all about. Leading with purpose and creating positive change. A graduate of Greenwood High School, a Woodman, and the University of Indianapolis, Melanie broke barriers early on, helping launch the school's first girls softball team and a radio program. And if that wasn't trailblazing enough, she also played ice hockey for 12 years in an all-boys league where she developed the grit, as we just talked about, confidence and strategic mindset that continue to define her leadership today. She's a certified speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell Leadership Team and the first Y affiliate coach in the United States. With more than 25 years of experience in sales, training, and executive leadership in the medical device industry, she's built a reputation for her intentional approach to leadership, challenging herself and others to make a difference every single day. Melanie is also an entrepreneur, author, podcast host, and the 2024 Aspire Johnson County Woman of the Year. She is passionate about using her voice to uplift others, strengthen communities, and help people discover their why. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Melanie Ake.
Thank you, Sam. What an awesome day. Are you guys inspired? Yes, oh my gosh. All right. Let me get set up real quick. Something about not wearing pockets, right? Does it always clip on? All right. Well, I'm going to be a little bit rowdy today. I have a bell. And I almost brought one for every table. But when you hear this bell, I want you to respond to either be quiet. I won't do the if you can hear me, clap once. But I will do the bell because we're going to do some rotations around the room as we talk about becoming a person of influence. So if I ask you in the room right now, what do you think influence really means? Anybody? Just in general. Yes?
Folks want to know your opinion.
Folks want to know your opinion. Yes? Rose?
The ability to bring out the best in other people.
The ability to bring out the best in other people. Awesome. Anybody else? Yes?
Having an impact,
Being able to impact. Mm-hmm. Yes?
It has something to do with helping people make their own choices in the direction you want them to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All of those are excellent, right? And when you think about how you get influenced, it can be good or it can be bad. So Hitler was an influencer, right? He got people to follow him. And as part of the John Maxwell team since 2016, what I've really learned is leadership is influence. If you've followed John Maxwell for 50 years, if you've listened to him talk about anything that he thinks is as important, the way he's leading countries and values, it is about how you influence someone. Bo today influenced all of us by giving us a book, which was amazing, right? So the positive influence that you bring encapsulates somebody's attitude towards you. So we want to have a good experience today, right? So you're connecting. B's activities this afternoon were amazing, and it gave you something new to think about when you go back to your organizations. So what we're going to do today, I've given you a worksheet, okay? So kind of expectations. I'm going to take you through each letter of influence, and around the room, you're going to find these flip charts. So we're going to talk about what each letter of influence looks like. What I'd like for you to do is use your note cards and your sheets to just capture some thoughts that you have and an action item that you're going to take after each of these breakout exercises, okay? Got it? Any questions? So this will be your take home. Okay, around the room, each of these flip charts has a letter of influence. What I'd first like you to do is write on your paper the person that you believe has influenced you the most in your life. It could be a teacher, it could be a parent, it could be a friend, it could be someone in the grocery store that was just nice to you. Who has had the most influence in your life? Okay, I'd like just for a few people to share who they wrote down, and then why did you choose that person? Anybody want to share? Yes,
My grandmother.
your grandmother.
My grandmother was a nurse. She's always been a natural caregiver. She's always given to everybody, like herself fully, and always cared for others. She's always done that.
Okay. So do you think about those characteristics then when you want to influence someone else? Yeah. And when you recognize or you're triggered by somebody that's not doing that, right? You start to go, they're not influencing very well. They're not going to get somebody to agree with them, right? It's always kind of, I think of things, I think maybe because I played hockey for so many years with all these boys, that I thought, that's not right. You can't treat people like that. But when you think about what impacted you the most in your heart, how does somebody else respond to that, right? How can you then represent that character, right? Have there been situations where you have noticed that you are imitating that character?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fills your heart, doesn't it? Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Anybody else? Yep. Yes, Amy. Your mom. Talk to us about that. Oh, there's the microphone. Thanks. Thanks, Jen.
I feel like there are so many things that, so I have 5 daughters, and there are so many things that I try to instill into them that she taught me. And I had to think about it, because I have mentors that I could say influenced me, but the most is my mom. And that when I really think about the things I talk about and the things I try to instill in others, most of them came from her.
Mm-hmm. And you notice that you do that, like she said here, you represent that characteristic, right? So when people see you, do they describe you as that person of influence, right? They see you as giving and kind.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. So anybody else want to share real quick? Another one? I know you guys all have an influencer in your life. So I will say for me, my grandparents were the biggest influencer for many years because my father died when I was young. And they kind of scooped me up and made sure that I had all the things from a leadership perspective, that I had faith in my life, that I had consistency, that I had great values, and it really made a difference for me. And I realized that very young, and so I took that with me, and I think that's what's built a lot of confidence. So I want you to think about if you didn't have that person in your life that you wrote down, how would that change you? How would that have changed you if that was that teacher that spoke into your life, that if it was that friend, that mother, that grandmother? What if they were not a part of your life? What if they never existed? Where would you get that inner confidence from? Would like for you to just write just for a few minutes on your papers, just write in the integrity, in the influencer section at the top. What would it look like if you did not have the person that influenced you in your life? What would that look like? What are some of your thoughts? Yeah, Cindy.
I think if it hadn't been for my dad.
Oh, hang on.
You're
Sorry, Jennifer, you're going to be busy.
I think if it hadn't been for my dad, I just don't know that I would have had the confidence, even though we all lack confidence. But just the ability to be like, when I need to put my boots in or put my heels in, I'm always like, okay, I can do this. And it was because of that confidence and what he instilled. So if he had never been here, I don't think I would have had that possibly, or I would have had to have found it somewhere else, I guess.
Excellent. It's a great example. Yeah, Michelle.
I would say my husband is my biggest influence. When we first got married, I was very introverted.
You?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like I could go to a party and sit on a couch and not talk to anyone and observe and be okay with that. Once we started to move around, I knew that my husband was at work and he had his work people, but if I didn't put myself out there, our network of people would be a lot smaller. So as we moved around, that helped me to go up to people I didn't know. If we did not move around, I would not have done all the event planning to be able to ask people for things as far as for help. So everything for our family moving around, those would be things that I would not, the skill that is one of my strong suits now that I would not have at all if we had not done that.
That's an awesome example. Yeah, thank you. So sometimes those people have pushed us outside of our comfort zone, right? Big time, big time. Who else wants to share? If that person wasn't in your life, what'd you experience? Yes, Jackie.
Because Dad was more work ethic, determination, focus, and Mom was big picture, open mind, big heart, all of that. But everybody was, you have to give back. No question, you have to give back. And in my house, you had to start at 12. But with my dad, I think he was constantly pushing you. Are you scared? Do it. Do it right now. Do it. And I think even if you didn't have confidence, he taught us to do it anyway.
Mhm.
Just get out there, do your best, think about it, and go do it. And what's going to do, kill you? That's what he would say. And I think that's a wonderful thing to teach people, that you don't have to be confident. Just do it anyway.
Mhm.
So without all of that, I don't know, I'd be a bowl of jello.
Permission to fail, right? Yeah. Yeah, and how many of us, yes, and so how many, I love that story because sometimes we've been told that we can't do something, right? A lot of us have been in environments, maybe at work or in our families, that they say, why would you want to do that? Or if you don't follow the family business or direction, or why would you want to go off and do something completely absurd, different than what we've all experienced? Because we can protect you, right? So giving that opportunity for failing and learning is huge, Great example of an influencer. Yes?
So I also had two people of influence. One was my dad, and he showed me like compassion and kindness and how to run a business based on compassion and kindness. But then when I was finishing up law school, I told my boss that I was pregnant with my first child, and she told me I would never make it as an attorney
Oh, wow.
because I was having a child. And that has been one of my biggest driving forces in becoming who I am today in my career. And if it weren't for her saying that, it hurt at the moment, but it also really drove me to say, no, I'm gonna show you that I can be both a mother and an attorney. And now she's one of my biggest supporters, so I love it. It's kind of come full circle.
I love that example. That is so great. I think, just a quick story, when I was in med device world, sales, and we were doing international training for sales teams, and there were like 95 reps that were carrying multiple bags in Europe. And my boss, that was, I thought, a great influencer, had come onto the team, and he said, hey, you can do anything. You'll take any challenge and make it happen. And so he approached me with 2 weeks' notice to say, we need to have these 95 international sales reps trained on our product lines. They're going to not carry the rest of the stuff. They're going to move to our product lines. They're coming from Poland, France, Italy, Netherlands, Belgium, and England. This was June 15th of 2016. And he said the training starts on July 4th. Up until that point, I thought he was a great influencer, gave me opportunity. What I didn't realize is he was trying to sabotage me. But as I told Becca, my word that drives me is challenge, right? So my grandparents, let's go back to who influenced me. My grandfather was a song evangelist, and he slated his schedule every 10 days to go to a camp meeting. Anybody been to camp before? Any campers in here? Yeah. So that's how he lived his life. He had the most beautiful voice, and he could have been Clint Black. Like, he was amazing. But he chose to sing for the gospel and influence people. And so that's how I grew up. Like, you just go. You just challenge yourself. You just get challenged with opportunity. And so in med device, it was always, how are you going to do this? What's our next goal? What's our next opportunity? So in 2 weeks, when my boss gave me that challenge, he said, okay, you need to create the training, create the slides, get the equipment shipped, get everybody organized, get all of the materials translated. And I said, I'm up for it. And guess what? We did it. And we ended up being over there for 8 months, and it was constant change. But I thought, I'm not going to give this up, because it was, again, the influence of the challenge. What happened is we grew that whole market at 143%, all the international groups, because we were dedicated to it and committed to it. So many people would say, when I learned I was being undermined, I thought, this isn't fair. This is awful. Why did I have the right motivation? Because I thought I had the right influence. But then when I found out there was kind of an underlying motivation behind it, it really just made me sick, right? I thought, you're trying to make me fail. I'm not gonna fail. But it even drove me harder, right? So I tell you that story because you have to really be careful about people that are influencing you and understand, are they doing it for their own manipulation, or are they doing it to motivate you? And there's a big difference between that. So as you think about and reflect on the influences that you've had in your life, that one person, what's the one word, if you could have it in your heart, that you could carry on that influence from them, right? That great influence. Write down on your paper the one word as a reflection that's going to help you stay leading with consistency, value, character. What's that one word? After you've written it on your paper, on the very first easel, now you have to be really careful, but I'd like for you to go to the first easel over here and write your word under the I for influence. It's right back here in the corner by Tandy at this back table. There's markers there. Just want everybody to write their word on that flip chart.
Hey, you.
You're awesome.
Did I say hey, you?
Well, no, she said you're awesome
Oh.
in the microphone, so.
I'll turn it
I thought
off.
was
There
like,
you
hey,
go.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I heard you were taking us out there.
You too.
Figured I'd come over and say hi.
We need to do a little lunch and learn for you guys with our Lift to Lead content. Seriously,
That one and that one.
I know. We need to do a little Live to Lead lunch and learn with you guys. I think we should do it on Jesse Cole's segment. On Jesse Cole's segment. Yeah. Yes. So you tell me when your lunch and learn. We need about.
About Jesse Cole.
Oh,
He's Savannah Banana, right?
oh yeah. You would love it
Talking about that.
because you guys do things differently. So I think you would be like over the top. It's awesome.
I'm assuming he's a disruptor, right? I mean, he has Savannah
Big
Banana.
time.
He's trying to.
Big time. Big time disruptor. Yeah. So let's connect our calendars.
So while you're coming back to your tables, thinking about your words, this integrity, right? It really matters. The words are what you say, it's what you say into people, it's what you value. So that reflection of that word, I would also challenge you, can you hear me? I will also challenge you as you get back to your table, here's the action step that I want you to do. Now this is within 7 days that I want you to write a letter to that person. Now they may not still be here, that's okay. But I want you to write a letter to that person thanking them for being that influence in your life. If you can, send that letter to them. Now this isn't a text or an email. This is a handwritten letter that you say, thank you for pouring into me. Thank you for being my role model. Thank you for being an influencer, a positive influencer in my life. And you have 7 days to do that. All right? So those of you that were at the board, the assignment is in 7 days, you'll take your word and the person that influenced you and write them a letter of thanks. Okay? Has anybody ever done that for you? Have you received just a letter saying, you've poured into me, thank you for that? Becca, yes? Yes. Yeah. How does that make you feel? Unbelievable, right? And it's the holidays, and so what we should be doing is thinking about how we give something that no one else can give you, right? It's not that material gift, it's the heart gift. What is going to make somebody feel so special and so awesome that no one else can maybe even see that in them? So that's what I want you to do on this first assignment. I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes just to recap on that, the one word that you have, and then making sure that you write that letter to them. All right? So I'm going to go over here to this chart and just read some of these, because this is pretty awesome. All right, so we have kindness, intention times 2, I'm sure times many things, love, go, collaboration, challenger, righteousness, drive, confidence, motivating, love, choices, faith, curiosity, confidence again, determined, kindness, drive, reputation, pure, tenacity, purpose, strong, authentic, good, integrity, empathy, kindness again, bold, hard work, compassion, generosity, belief in me. Who wrote that? Belief in me. I love that, Amy. Compassion and patience. How do those words make you feel right now? Like someone sees you? Right? That one person saw you. That one person gave you so much to have integrity about all things that you do in your life. So, that's what the letter is for. And just imagine how they're going to feel when they open that up. Okay? That's your gift for the holidays. Okay, we're going to move on to N. Was that fun so far? Yes, okay. Oh, before we go on to N. So this is Bridget Krause, and I want to tell you a little story about her. When you talk about integrity of influence, she challenged all of us on the John Maxwell team in June to something that I thought, there is no way that I can participate in this. Has anybody ever heard of the 75 Hard Challenge? Okay, you guys get it. What do you think about it? Have you done it? Okay. Where's that microphone? Do you have that microphone, Jen? She's like all the way to the other end. Yeah. The end table. Okay. Tell us about 75 Hard.
75 Hard is obviously hard. The way I did it was you pick 2 workouts a day, one inside, one outside, and then you do, the way I did it at least, you do one good thing for your own mental health besides your physical health as well. So I was doing a workout in the morning outside, typically a run, for at least 30 minutes, and then going to the gym for 30 minutes inside, and then I was reading a chapter of the New Testament. So you do that for 75 days. It gets easier after 30. The first 30 is like a mental task, right? Like obviously it's physically hard, but after 30 days, your body gets used to it, so.
And you have to drink a gallon of water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the water was, I feel like that's pretty typical. Well, yes, the water as well.
Okay.
But that's how I did 75.
Yeah. And it's 75 days in a row.
Yes.
And if you miss
75 days in a row.
anything, you have to go all the way back to the beginning.
Yes, you do.
So, have you ever had to go back to the beginning? Did you do that?
I did not have to go back.
Okay. Awesome. What did it help you in your mental capacity? Like, what do you see that changed the most?
I think just the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
It just obviously physically and mentally pushes you to stay motivated, and if you stop, obviously you have to start over again. So the want to not stop is very much there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And did you do it too?
I did a slightly different version where it's the same thing, but there's also a strict diet aspect of it. No drinking alcohol was the hardest one for me, just because I did it at such a young age. But a lot of perseverance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. It is hard. Has anybody else tried it? No? Okay, there is a soft version that you don't have to drink a gallon. You can drink a half a gallon. You can do 1 exercise a day. And the challenge with that is doing inside and outside. You have to do 1 outside workout. And so you have to be committed. Talk about integrity. So when Bridget on the John Maxwell team challenged all of us, we said, okay, it's June, by August 13th, we'll have completed our 75 days. And there were so many people that started over and said, I'm just gonna give up. But there were 7 of us that completed the 75 days the first time we did it. And I'll tell you, it's the hardest mental capacity stretch that you'll do. You're right. It was hard. The water was hard for me. But it's the consistency that you weave into your life. And you think about integrity, like, okay, no cheating. You've got to read those 10 pages. You've got to drink that water. You've got to do those workouts. You've got to take that picture every day. It's what you show up. It's why you love the people that poured into you, right? They had that level of integrity that they showed you. So I want to encourage you to think about that thing that you're like, I really want to accomplish that by the end of the year. What's that one thing that's just been kind of stirring in your mind that you say, until somebody challenges me or keeps me accountable to it, nobody will know that I really secretly want to do that. Do you have those? Do you have those kind of secret desires to clean out a cabinet? To get yourself on a schedule? Becca gave us some great examples this morning. But those things, like, write that down in the integrity section of what you want to hold yourself accountable to. Because this action step, at the end of the day, you're going to have a little survey, and it's going to say, like, what'd you think about the talk, blah, blah, blah. But you're also going to get an action versus intention sheet. And it's going to show you how to be actionable with the things in your life instead of intentional. Because we all say, oh, it'd be great to do that. I had no idea what it would do to my mental capacity when I did that 75 hard. I was just like, I can do 75 days. Day 4 was really hard. Because at 9 o'clock at night, I had not done the outside workout. And it was pouring down rain. And I said to my husband, hey, want to have some fun? Want to go on a walk? He's like, I didn't sign up for that. So, right, it taught me, put on your boots, get on your rain jacket, get your umbrella out, and go do it. Because you were the one that committed to this. So yes, on day 4, I could have given up and gone back to the beginning. And I thought, I'm not doing that. So I want you to think about that thing. And when you get this, when you do this code, you'll get a whole list of all these questions. And the thing that changes from intention to action is being specific, right? 75 was a goal. Every day was a goal. So if you say, oh, I'd like to, gosh, by the end of the year, I'd like to do something. What are the small steps that you're going to take to get there? The small action steps, like by Friday, I want to do this. And I'm going to make it actionable. So you'll get that list, and it's really going to help you with awareness, because sometimes we tell ourselves, well, that's what I meant, right? That's the intention. That's what I meant, instead of keeping yourself very specific in the action so that you can accomplish it. Because when you're very specific and you do it, you feel like a completely different person. Like you've been promising something to yourself that you said, I did that, right? I did it. So you're the champion. You've got to nurture yourself. And you have to create this culture of empathy. Becca and Cindy have talked about this. If you do not have the right people in your environment to help you build that culture, it's going to be really hard for you to accomplish anything. It's that genuine empathy that person, that influencer, believed in you, that helped you, that spoke into you, that gave you that confidence. That's what we're talking about here with the nurturing. I want you to close your eyes and think about the kind of environment that inspires you the most. What does that look like? Is it a beach? Is it on a sailboat? Is it in a boardroom? Is it at your kid's soccer game? Is it in a classroom? Do you have that space in your mind? Think about the last time you were there. Did it give you permission to create something new? Did it give you permission to ask for advice? Did it give you permission to do something you had never done before? Because you were in the right environment with the right people? Okay, open your eyes. I'd like somebody to share, what were you thinking about in that moment? No, Rose?
I was thinking about my morning devotional because the best nurturing I get comes from the Bible.
Okay,
You want me to say that again?
yeah,
I was thinking about my morning devotional because the best nurturing that I get is from my Bible.
Yeah.
It is where I get the most growth and the best support, and it's actually my biggest influencer.
it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, vision gives you clarity, right? When you know exactly what you want to expect out of it, that gives you the clarity of what you're supposed to be doing. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? What were your thoughts? Where was your place? What happened the last time you were there? Anybody? Okay. All right. If you would like to write that down in the nurturing section, because this is really important as we've been thinking about how we invest in ourselves. What are the things that we need to learn about ourselves? What are our strengths, right? What makes us shine? What do other people see in us that makes us shine? And what kind of environments do we need to put ourselves in? Are we in the right environments? Are we saying yes to everything just because it's on the schedule? Or are we saying no to those things that we really aren't being filled with? Do we have those right people around us? So important. Write these down on your sheet. If you would like to list these on our board, when you get an opportunity, you can write those places that nurture you and those environments. Okay, so we'll just capture those throughout the day. Anybody else want to share about a reflection on that? The people and the environment. Yes?
I put hiking and just being in nature because I feel like it just reminds you of the simplicity and what's important, grounding,
Yeah,
bringing it all down to something more simple.
being outside. So do you hike with a group or do you do it by yourself?
My husband and son and our dog.
Okay, so your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it gives you that sense of clarity.
Yes.
You know, that's awesome.
Happiness.
Happiness. Some people say they're a boardroom, right? It doesn't matter if it's a group of men or women. Some people thrive in that power role. They want to have clarity in that boardroom. They think if other people are being influenced and they can convince somebody, like that's their space. I'm like, not for me. I'd rather be on the water. Hiking and devotionals are so, so important. All right. Any other reflections on that? Horses, ice skating, like those are great too, right? All right. Faith in others. We started off with this. people that give you confidence. Right? So this is my mom. She is 82. She's amazing. And when Sam introduced me, she didn't tell you that my mom was the one that signed me up for hockey. So after my father had passed away, I was 5 when that happened, but when I was 7, she drugged me over to Perry Park one Saturday morning. It's still there. It was an outside rink at the time, no boards, no cover, it was cold, and we thought it was field hockey. But we realized it was ice hockey. And then she said, "Do you want to do this?" And I said, "Yes, I'm all in." So when we talk about belief, support, things that people do for you, it really shapes who you are, right? That's why it's so important. I want you to really focus on that today when we talk about becoming a person of influence, because that's who you are. And you need to own that and not be afraid to step into that power of owning that influence. So I wrote a book a couple of years ago. It was released last year, and I've got it out on the table. And I asked my mom to be a part of it because I thought she's been such an influencer in my life. What could I do to give her something back before she passes? Now, she's healthy, but you never know, right? So she wrote a chapter in this book, and she talked about the people that influenced her in her life. Her mother and her father, but her mother had some mental illness, and back in the time had shock therapy. And so she was in a lot of hospitals and she was in a lot of treatment centers, and that's how my mom remembers her childhood, not really with a mom in place. She tells the story that her mother committed suicide. I didn't even know that story. And it happened in the year that she was pregnant with me, so her mother never knew that she was pregnant. That affected my mom the rest of her life, right? Not telling people about the things that had happened tragically to her. When my father died, she felt so strong about, like, I can keep secrets and nobody needs to know the pain that I'm suffering. So when he passed away, she was a nurse at St. Francis Hospital, and she came back to work and she didn't tell anybody. She just said, well, they just thought he was sick. Because she said there were no support groups for a 30-year-old female. As a nurse at the time, you just worked, right? You didn't have support groups like you did today. I didn't know that until she wrote about it. And so I want to encourage you, the things that maybe the people in your life need to write about something that's happened to them. This unlocked so much in her. And she said after she wrote her chapter, she was shaking because she had never gotten it out. And I thought, that's an awesome gift, right? But you don't know until you really start to get to know somebody that you have that right environment. So, she's amazing. She's my other person of influence that really makes an impact. And you have to say, like, how can you give that person that kind of love and joy back, right? We all deserve that. Okay. Listening. This is our L. How important is listening? Oh gosh, come on. Let's ring the bell. Are you listening? How many times are we misunderstood because we haven't listened? We're showing up to say, I gotta tell you something. Guilty? Yes? Yes? You're the only one. How many times do we get things wrong and we're misunderstood and we have miscommunication because we did not fully listen? Right? Oh yeah, I see the hands. It's so important, and it's a huge leadership skill. If we can just take a breath, okay, I know this person's gonna overwhelm me, but I need to go in there and I need to have this conversation. But if you ask a question, listen, right? What are some good ways that you can process or become a better listener? What have you guys tried? Yes, Amy. Eye contact, absolutely. Yes, Jackie.
Saying back to them what you think you just heard.
Oh, it's so perfect. Yes, saying back to them what you just heard. Because now you're not thinking about what you're going to say, right? What's another listening skill? Yes, Tracy.
Pause before you respond.
Pause before you respond. How many times do we do this? I mean, hello, the holidays are coming up, right? How many of you are going to be in a room with somebody that you'd rather not be in a room with? Okay, feet, hands. Right, this is huge for us. We really need to practice this, because if people feel heard and they know that at least you've listened to them, maybe you're the only person that has made them feel heard all week, all month, all year. Because if they're that person in your life, they're probably that person to other people too, right? And so we really need to just kind of say, okay, I'm going to own this. I'm going to go in, maybe I'm going to ask a different type of question. I love Bee's game. If you took that to Thanksgiving, people would stop talking about their own problems and go, hey, let's get creative, right? Doing something spontaneous with people so that you can listen and really hear them, really understand, what do they see? What do they love? What are they learning? John Maxwell at Thanksgiving always sends out a sheet that says, here are just some table questions, right? Maybe ask people around the table things that you've never talked about. What was the greatest thing they learned this year? What's a book that they're reading? What would they like to do? If they could do it next year, what would be one of the dreams that they would have? Like changing the conversation so that you can have better conversations, right? It's always going to help. So we also build relationships. Has anybody read Simon Sinek's Start With Why? Yeah, okay. So Simon, wrote this book several years ago, and through that, several people, decided like, hey, this is really great content. It's one of the top YouTube lessons on all on YouTube now. And so he's got like 5 million views on his Start With Why. But what he says is our conversation starts from the limbic part of the brain. And it starts with the emotion of connection. And so as a why coach, there are kind of the trainings that they went through an assessment. Have you taken the DISC? Anybody taken the DISC assessment? Taken the Myers-Briggs? Taken Enneagram? Like all of those, right? So yes, exactly. Strength finders. So the Y Institute also has a process, and it was developed by Simon's teachings. And there are 9 of these whys that you can identify, like what really triggers the limbic part of your brain. And that part of your brain is what you respond to. And there are things like trust, simplify, right way thinking, challenge. And so those kind of drive you, right? And so there's 9 of them, and you figure out this category, and then there's a whole process for like, how do you respond to somebody when they show up and you don't trust them if you have the Y of trust? And so it really, like all these others, right? It eliminates the time that you get triggered. And you say, every time I have that conversation with that person, that's what it makes me feel like. They expect me to come with a checklist of things they want. I don't do that. But then it's starting to learn what other people need, right? The skill of listening is about meeting people where they are, not where you want them to be. That's the biggest hurdle on leadership and becoming a person of influence, is it's not about you. It's about serving that other person's needs. When somebody turns the table around and you meet them and they say, and they don't come and go, oh, guess what happened this week? They're like, how are you? How's everything going in your life? What happened today? Where are you going on vacation? They turn it to you. How does that make you feel? Do you recognize that they're being super intentional? Or do you just go, oh, that person made me feel really good, right? There are those lifters in our life that they want to pour into us because they're great listeners and they're great communicators. Who's that person in your life? Who is the greatest person that you can say, you know what, I really want to just not load on them, but I'm so excited I want to tell them about everything that happened today. Who's that person for you? Do you have one? Right? And so what if you could go to them the next time that you're in the same room and you know that they're just going to absorb, they're going to be like, oh, tell me everything about what happened. And instead you come with a list of kind of things that you're like, I want to pour into them. I want to show up and say, hey, how are things going with you? Tell me about what's happening. What are you looking towards? How can I help you? How can I add value to you? You will get a whole new side of that person because they've been the one that's always listening, and maybe a lot of people come to them. And I've seen so many relationships change because that other person feels heard and valued and seen now. When someone is always the best listener, they also have things to share. So at your Thanksgiving tables, your networking meetings, your Christmas holidays, think about that person that's the one that's just maybe the introvert sitting over in the room going, okay, here comes Aunt Susie. She's going to tell me everything. She's sewn, she's baked, she's cooked, she's doing all this stuff. But what if that quiet person was asked what's going on, right? So find the right conversations, build those right relationships by the right questions. Great leaders ask great questions. So I want you to think about that quiet person. Who's that quiet person that you say, oh, you know, they're kind of unseen. They just kind of go from room to room, they're unseen. What's some questions that you can find out about them this season? Are they going to school for something? Are they trying to accomplish a goal? Write that person's name down under the listening category as a reflection. And then the action step on this one is within one day from today, so that's Saturday, I want you to have identified that person, and then what are you going to ask them? Maybe do a little bit of research. What are you going to ask them to make them feel heard and intentional the next time that you see them? So it could be a networking meeting that you just want to learn about them more, right? It could be your Thanksgiving's coming up or your Christmas. This will make people feel heard and valued, and you will start to get a whole different response from them. Has anybody ever been into a coaching session? Anybody ever had group coaching, individual coaching in here? Yeah? So coaching's different than therapy, but coaching goals, right? But if you've been to therapy, like having somebody just listen to you just takes that weight off of you in a whole different way, right? Coaching is about motivation, getting you to the goal, getting you to the cross the line. But listening is a skill that you have to develop. It's not like we're all born with it. We have to ask better questions, and we have to know intentionally what the result is. People want to experience you. More than anything else, they want to have a memory or an experience. And so if we can kind of be people of influence, that means how are you going to create that? Right? I do an exercise with a lot of my clients, and it's called value creation. And it basically just breaks things very simply down into, is it a personal value or is it a business value? But it just says, like, what do people experience in the absence of you? So it's a little bit like, wait, I'm removing that, but what do people experience if I ask you that question? What do people experience in the absence of having you in their life? Less joy, less conversation, less confidence, right? The absence of you is maybe they feel in their heart they're missing something. So we do a little exercise, and we say, okay, so that brings out your value. So if you put in the listening category, what would you say 3 things are that you bring value to the world for other people that are listening, that see you, that hear you? What are those 3 biggest strengths? What do people see in you? What have people told you that they rely on you for? What do they miss when you're not in the room? What do they miss when you're not at Thanksgiving? What do they miss when you're not at a meeting? What do they miss about you? What are some of the things that you guys wrote down? Some of the words that you wrote down. Yes, Sam.
I said honesty. I sometimes almost really.
Honesty. Excellent. So an example of that, just blatantly honest, right? So going to tell somebody they know that they're going to get the straight story no matter what they do. So if you're missing out of their life, then they're not going to get the real story.
Maybe that's why some people are.
But that helps you identify your right environment too, right? And so that's sometimes our strengths can become our weakness because we say, well, we know that we're honest, we show up with honesty and integrity. But the other people that may give us feedback, like, oh, she's always going to be the one to point something out, right? And that's where we have to say, but I live in that. Like, that's what I know is right. That's what I know is, it needs to be told because that's the people that you put around you. Some people shy away from that strength, and then what happens is they become really disturbed inside, like, I can't say anything because nobody wants me to tell the truth about the situation. And then that creates a lot of anxiety and depression and many other things. So keep doing that. What's some of your other strengths? Yes. Yes, Tracy.
So my LJC project group told me that I was the mom of the group. She's shaking her head because it's true. I would, if somebody needed something, I'd be like, where do you go? Or when somebody, I don't know. Sam, can you speak to that anymore? But I
And nurture. There you go. But that's good, right? So if you didn't own that, you would say, oh, everybody thinks I'm responsible for them. Right? Instead, you're like, hey, I love this. I'm getting everybody together. I'm keeping them on task. I'm making sure. Like, that's what Becca was talking about this morning, is you just have to really own whatever power that is within you, because that is an influencer. If you step out of that, then people are going to say you're not being your authentic self. So own it. But think again about that person that influenced you and inspired you to become who you are. I always go back to think about, what would my grandparents do? What would my mom do? How has she handled all these difficult situations? And then you get really straight. Like, all that anxiety stuff just kind of goes away, because you're like, I got it clear. This is exactly how they would have handled it. So there's a little bit of understanding, because you have to have empathy and patience for people. I think the best thing that you can give someone as a gift is a personality assessment. If you have people in your life to better understand them, to say, I need to know what your strengths are. If you knew that somebody showed up as honesty, but in your family even, right? Because sometimes we misunderstand the people that are closest to us because we live with them every day, in and out. Our coworkers, our friends, like understanding them from the core of not how you expect to see them, what they do for you, but who they are. Like, what do you see as their real strength? It's so important, because sometimes they don't even see it. My husband took a strength finder and a Y and a disc, and we started to uncover, like, hey, you've never been in a job where you've had to have any of these. And we saw that, his number one strength is empathy. His Y is trust. His disc is an I. Like, he loves to be around people, but it also has to be a very structured, trustworthy environment. And so things that you may say, like, oh, you don't take enough initiative. You don't want to do it this way. Why aren't you challenged by this, right? That's my personality. It's like, he's not equipped to do that. That is not his strength. He comes at things completely different. And until we understood that, there were things you're like, wait a minute, you don't see things the same way that I do. Understanding someone from the core, seeing them from where they are, from what their experience is, that changes every relationship, right? And if you have a team, how many of you have teams of people that work for you or around you? Yeah. So if you're trying to, create a plan, you're giving them instruction, you need them to get around and champion something, and you're communicating to them from what your need is instead of where they're coming from, then it's probably like just class, right? I don't hear you, I don't care, I just know I have to do this. Sam told me I have to do it, so I'll do it. But if you really want to be an influencer, if you start to understand where they're coming from, you're going to get buy-in, right? You're going to get that buy-in, you're going to get that energy, you're going to get like, hey, Sam, maybe do you trust me? Do you really want to include me? Now I'm going to act, as Simon Sinek says, we talk to that part of the brain, and we start to value you because you're seeing them for their strength, right? It's a whole different conversation instead of just giving orders because, hey, aren't you excited that we have to hit these goals? Come on, Bo. You've got big goals. You guys do a lot of great work for the community. But if you don't hit them, there's a lot of stress, right? So if you could talk to everybody and say, like, here's our big vision, but every single person on the team is going to be motivated by something different. And so we have to make sure we're motivating and not manipulating. All right. How many of you ever felt manipulated in a job? Yeah, right. And it's usually because of how somebody makes you feel, the words they use, and the environment they put you in. I know when my boss did that to me in 2016, I was like, huh, so you think I can't get this done? And then when I did it, it was phenomenal, right? I celebrated and I thought, ha ha ha, I showed you. And then a couple of years later, I ended up getting eliminated from that company. Because I was like, I am going to show you that I can get this done and we're going to just blow it out of the water. But there were a lot of people that were trying to manipulate everything else that was happening. And I didn't realize it because I was only thinking about my strengths and not what they needed, right? So there were lots of other things to the story. But I tell you that because of experience, right? So if you don't get in line with what other people need and you understand what their strengths are and how they need to be influenced and how they want to have influence in your life, it can really disrupt your goals. It can really disrupt everything that's happening. So, enlarging others through mentorship. How many have a mentor in here? A few. Okay, for those of you on this side of the room, I want you to look at your neighbor and say, you need to get a mentor in your life. And maybe you guys will be each other's mentor. Because here's the thing, if you don't have accountability, so all of these challenges, if you don't have accountability for them, you're never going to accomplish them. Because we can't just keep ourselves on task for one thing. It is essential for cultivating leaders, for growing teams, for relying on collaboration. How many people have collaborated with a mentor in their life? They've been a mentor and then a collaborator. Yeah. So as a mentor, have you been a mentee? Right? As a mentee, you typically will learn from this person, but what I have learned is as a mentor, you learn way more than what you're teaching the mentee. Because your experience comes at it from, I'm going to share with you my knowledge, and then you see this whole different perspective, right? This person that's learning, that's coming along, that's asking questions. Anybody else experience that? That you've learned way more from your mentee? Yeah, Rose. Can you share a little bit about that?
So I'm a martial arts instructor, and kids ask phenomenal questions. And when they manage to find something that I don't have the answer to, it reminds me that I need to dig deeper. So I'm always looking for how to better explain things. And sometimes I watch the connection that my kids have with some of my other team members, and they manage to explain it in a way that clicks with the student that I didn't explain it. So it teaches me how to adjust my perspective to help others understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And adjusting our perspective, being able to be vulnerable and flexible, right, is the biggest thing as a mentor. Because you really see like, oh, they have a different strength, they have a different value, they need more of this, right? And that really helps you pour into them as a mentor. So on your worksheet, when we're thinking about understanding and enlarging others, how will you, in this next 30 days, right, before kind of after Thanksgiving, in the next 30 days, I want you to write one activity that you're going to do to enlarge others. Maybe it's your family, your work team, your friends, maybe a group that you're on, maybe you're in a sports league, family. What's one activity? Now the action step, again, remember, these are actionable items. Accountability is specific. So what's the specific measure of time? I'm going to do it by Monday at 2 p.m. Not just, hey, I think I'd like to do this. What would that thing be to enlarge others? To make them feel, again, empowered beyond just seeing them. What's one action step that you're going to take? Anybody? How will you enlarge others? Yeah, Marie.
I think sharing what I learned here with my team in the office.
Yeah, excellent. Taking this information back to them to help them grow, right? That absolutely is one of the best ways that you could do it. Share books, share podcasts, share things that you're learning. Because sometimes people, even in your work environments, they don't have that access, right? They may just come to work, they're great people, but sometimes we don't dig deep enough and we don't know what's happening on the other side. That's becoming a person of influence. Great job. All right. Navigating and problem solving. Oh my gosh, I love this. So we just did an event called Live to Lead, and it's a John Maxwell signature event. Every year, he brings us with influencers. So this year, we got these cool little balloons and all these bells, and some of the speakers included Jesse Cole. Now, the guy in the yellow tux, do you guys know who he is? Savannah Bananas. He has an amazing talk, and he does these all over the world, but how many know his story? Like his real story? No. Okay, you totally need to come to Live to Lead. So his conversation is all about failure. Now you would think somebody that has 30 million views on YouTube, you can't get tickets to his games, you have to be on a waiting list for 16 months. But you know how they started out in a bedroom? They started developing a baseball team that they thought, well, we want to go to a certain area. Didn't work. They wanted to present baseball in a fun, energetic way instead of going to a baseball game and paying $15 for a ticket, $10 for a Coke, $8 for a hot dog. Like, they decided to change the rules of everything and be a disruptor and be a disruptive thinker. What he taught us is that failure is first. He has created an organization and a cult that it is a fans first environment. You talk about raving fans. People now give him ideas. He says to his team, I want you to give me 16 ideas every game that won't work. Just throw them out. Throw me all the ideas. So, right now I want you to think about ideas that if you were at a baseball game, that you would think were so crazy that they would never accept it or work. Right? Think about it. What are those ideas? Anybody? What would be an idea?
Use ice cream instead of baseball.
Use ice cream instead of baseballs. Okay. You had one?
The fans get to be the umpires, call balls or strikes.
The fans get to be the umpires. Anybody else? Come on, this is a creative group. Bring zoo animals out on the field for a parade, right? Yes, Jackie. Reclining seats in the stands. Anybody else? Have you guys ever been to a game? Okay, so you've experienced that, right? So he literally says 16 things every single game that he wants them to bring, 15 to 16 things that will definitely fail. Now what happens is one of those always sticks. so they always start doing things differently. One of those things was to write handwritten notes to all the fans up in the stands in the very top. And so his team, they write handwritten notes. Thank you for being our biggest fans. Way up in the rafters, right? And they just hide these notes. They had, one of the players that he shows during the talk is, they were a girl that said, hey, I really love you guys, and I love the way that you danced in that yellow dress, and it really meant something to me. They reached out, they connected her, they brought her onto the field for the next game, and they did this whole YouTube of him dancing on the field with her in her yellow dress, because they saw that fan, right? It was the one thing that they did, like they say, for one person, do for one what you would like to do for many. And if you create that experience, they had over 30 million views on YouTube from that one experience, because they did for one and influenced them and changed their heart and connected them in a way that nobody else could. So I want you to think about, in your business, if you pushed the envelope so far that you said, nobody would let us do that. But what would get that energy, that attention, that influence, it's the energy. Jesse talks about it all the time. What's the energy that you want to bring to the field? What's the energy that you want to bring to your business? What's the energy that you want to bring to your relationships? Right? Who is that person? What's that idea? I want you to take 2 minutes and think about the craziest thing that you could ever bring to your business right now, or a business that you go to, that you say, this is a problem, I wish they could solve it. If they did this differently, I would be their biggest fan. What business do you serve? What business do you have? What's one creative idea that you can say, if we accomplish this, how would people respond to us? You guys all have different businesses. There's investments, there's bankers, there's spas, there's restaurants. Service industry-minded people need to be thinking differently today. What is one thing that you could do different that no one would expect, that you would say, that's going to attract, and that will create influence, right? Okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute to think about this. And then I want you to share, because this can be really fun. And we can hold you accountable to it. Yeah, Becca.
So I have a coaching client, and next week he is celebrating his 100th coaching call with me. And so I have decided for every coaching client, because I've had multiple, so I'm going to do this for, I got a backlog, 14 years worth. But for every coaching client, I always take good news, their wins. So I'm creating a top 100 list of 100 of their good wins from their first 100 coaching calls with me. And I have found a company that is going to leather bind it. And then I've picked pictures from their Facebook, their family, and some inspirational quotes, and literally making it a binder so they can stick it on their desk and look at it and then share it with others to help others see that if you work hard, you can go where you want to go.
Awesome. That's awesome. Having their own personal book, right, from the last 100 days. That's awesome. Anybody else have any great ideas that just came out of this? What would you do different? How would you become that influencer? Yes. Oh.
I was gonna say, so this, I mean, because we do a lot of life insurance.
Yeah.
Get rid of underwriting.
Get rid of underwriting.
Then everybody can have it.
So maybe you push. Yes, get rid of underwriting. So, did somebody else have something over here? Did you, Jackie? Did your table? Oh yes, get rid of underwriting. Yeah. But I mean, you think of crazy ideas. Like, I really want you guys to think into this, because today's been about creativity, like finding the spark inside of you to say, yes, okay, we have 50 banks on a corner, right? But what does that one bank do that's different than everybody else? And that's what Jessie Cole teaches, is where's the creativity? What is the why that makes you come in and serve people? That's an influencer. You care about them because you want to create an environment that's different. Modern Woodman does things amazing differently, right? They think differently, they show up differently. How is your gym, spa, restaurant, bank, school, organization, what are you going to do to create that customer experience that's going to make raving fans so that everybody in the community, they don't need the newspaper, they don't need a social media ad, they feel it, right? They want it so bad and so deeply that they'll do anything to get to you. They'll wait for months to come see you because you can charge any price that you want. You can give them that experience that they're going to last a lifetime. Clear communication, challenges, and finding that purpose of a raving fan, surveying them and finding out, what is it? What do they want? How do they want you to fail? How do they want you to show up? Give yourself permission to try things that are way outside the box, right? I've done it a million times, recreating my business, and it's a lot of fun. So if you take that attitude, you're like, it's about the customer. It's about their experience, okay? The last slide here is really on empowering. If you think about the things of leaders in the world today, and I want to encourage you to develop and think about the community that you serve. This is a slide of Argentina. I just came back from Argentina with the John Maxwell team. And he was asked by President Milei to bring 140 coaches into Argentina. What did we do? We trained on values. They chose 10 values out of John's 21 values of all of his 38 million books that he's written. So they chose 10 values. We went in and facilitated the value of attitude. Now for a country that's struggling and has been like in such disruption, their government wanted us to come in and train them on attitude. This is really simple. We sat at round tables just like this, 8 to 10 people. We trained 18,000 tables in a matter of 4 days. So the government had huge rooms, and we had tables everywhere. And each of our coaches, we said we were going somewhere at some time and some place to help someone. And that's all we knew. We didn't know what facility we were going to be shipped to, how many people would be in the room, and we all had translators. So thinking about what you feel in your heart and what you think is possible, there's more, right? There's more for you to do, there's more for you to see, there's more for you to inspire, there's more for you to encourage. We did 18,000 tables in 4 days with 140 people. Now I just think like that's impossible. But because there was structure around it and we said we can and we will, and we showed up with all these people. And what we learned through it was amazing relationships and connections. And now they have been taught to facilitate the round tables that we did. And the action step was they would do it in 1 week to find 3 friends, 3 leaders, 3 community partners, and experience what they did. So just like Marie said, they took it back, and that was their challenge. And the next week to find 3 people. You remember that? You tell 3 people, and then they tell 3 people. So that's what's happening around the world, and this is the 7th country that we've gone into. So the next country is the Philippines, because they're asking for help, right? So when you think about a team of 60,000 people all over the world, and there's a challenge, I love challenges, and it's like, what would you do? How can you make impact? How can you be that one person that creates the energy for people to be raving fans of you, your business, and the community? That's what today is about. Becoming a person of influence isn't hard. But it starts with you and your heart to connect those dots, just like Simon Sinek has said many times, and Steve Jobs. Find out where you came from so that you can understand who you can become. I really appreciate you guys today just taking this energy, understanding that you can become that influencer in the community. You can become that influence in your family. You can have those right conversations. You can become better listeners. But it all starts with those action items, right? Being very specific about the goals that you want to achieve to become better and be a raving fan of you so that you can show up in the community and you can do the best job for everyone. Be that experience. Create those environments. Do the things that make you shine. Don't do the things that you don't like to do. Say yes to the things that you love. Thank you so much for your attention today. And if there's anything that we can do for you at Everyday Leaders, I would love to have that conversation as well. All right? If you scan this QR code in your form, you will get an action item list, which is going to be action versus integrity. And I've got one more thing, a special little song that I want to play for you.
We stand as one, we've answered the call. Stronger hands, connected hearts. We've been leaders from the start. Trust grows like rivers that flow. Teamwork sparks the seeds we sow. Hand in hand, Johnson County, take a stand. Lives forever changed, bonds that never fade. Rise together. This is how we're made. Through every challenge, through every climb, we forge the future, one step at a time. Dreams take flight, we soar so high. Together we can touch the sky. Trust flows like rivers that flow. Teamwork sparks the seeds we sow. Rise together, hand in hand, leadership. Johnson County, we take a stand. Lives forever changed, bonds that never fade. Rise together. This is how we're
Okay, that was a little AI song that I made for Tandy, for Leadership Johnson County. And it was so fun to hear it and the words and think about what does it see when you put words on a paper? What can AI do today to explain who you are? Just a little creativity that I wanted to bring to you today. It's so fun to think outside of the box of all the tools that we have. So if you're stuck, if you're struggling, if you're thinking I gotta get new energy, come see Becca and I, because we can help you with that new thought, that new idea, that new creativity to help you thrive to that next level. All right? I'd just like you to stand up for a second and just give Tandy and Jennifer and B a hand for everything that they've done today. And thank you guys so much. do have drawings for my book. So if you are still in the room, come see me. Connie Basco, Terry Helmsing, Julie